my name's Leah. I'm an illustrator and indie game creator, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I last gave any updates on this channel, and I just wanted to say that I am still drawing and still creating, and I want to take you guys with me through my day-to-day life and kind of just catch up on the things that you've missed since I last posted a video. So I have been working on my indie game Kitty Corner Cafe, which you can see more about in my previous vlogs, but I've mostly just been working on it here and there. So most recently I incorporated sound effects that I found both free versions of online and also made a few myself in GarageBand. So I had a lot of fun making those. Also regarding Kitty Corner Cafe, I think as part of the changes I've been having just in my day-to-day life, I've felt different things about the project just as a whole. Like, I feel like my art style and skill has really improved, and something that I've been struggling with is the fact that when I first created a lot of the artwork for the game, my skills were not as good as they are now. So now when I look back, I'm like, oh, I want to fix all of these things, but obviously I'm not going to do that because that would just take a lot of time that would be wasted, honestly. So I'm trying to reevaluate where I'm at with Kitty Corner Cafe and redefining what it means for me to like fully finish the project. So that's something that is in the back of my head. Thanks for coming along. I'm going to show you some of the artwork that I've been creating lately, and you can also see that in the shorts that are on my channel. I tend to post those more frequently of artwork that I've been creating. But yeah, thanks for catching up with me, and I'll see y'all in the next clip.
Hello, so it is later in the day, in the evening, and I wanted to show you in this sketchbook some of the comic exercises that I've been doing. The sketchbook is a very thin paper, so I use it more so for like sketches kind of like this, usually more than like full color type things. That's my cat Pumpkin. This one is something that I started that I didn't finish yet. I kind of realized I started coloring it in like a tattoo style accidentally, but it's not bad or anything. And I think the little guys are really cute, so I'll finish this at some point. So specifically, this one was a study of the book Mamo. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but I thought the cat was really cute, so I did some studies of that. These were just some studies from Pinterest. This was one of the comic prompts that I did, which was just to make a 6-panel sketch comic. So it's about my cat knocking off a cup and spilling water. So it's like spilling the water, me being like, huh? Me getting angry, my cat's face, me getting mad and internally like shaking, taking a deep breath, and then this. So a very typical cat moment. I might clean up this panel and then I might ink this eventually, but yeah, I like how this is turning out so far. And then what I'm gonna work on this evening is I drew this person, was like a photo reference from Pinterest, but I wanted to practice doing character turns. So yeah, I'm gonna do that while I watch some anime in my bedroom. So I wanted to give you a little update. I did do the 3/4 view in this direction for this character, but I had decided to start working on Kitty Corner Cafe more and its sound effects. So I'm going to pause this. I may or may not come back to this later, but it's exciting to be working on my game again.
Hello, so it is a couple of days later and I'm going to go work at a cafe this afternoon because I have done a lot of my work and going to look at the current state of Kitty Corner Cafe and then make a list of any other sound effects and sounds that I need, and then I'll come back because I have implemented some of them, and I'll also show you later what I have already implemented so far. So yeah, I will see you guys then. So I wanted to show you some of the audio that I've implemented. So I'm gonna launch the game so you can see the song that I added onto the main menu. It's kind of like a chill song and it will loop. If you load a save, it will play whatever song is supposed to play in that section of the game. And then if you just start, it will continue playing the song. So you can kind of hear it like this. And
And then something I added to the character customization, so your pronouns aren't selected by default anymore. Before I had one selected by default just in case, but now you won't be able to proceed unless you select your pronouns. So let me randomize a couple times so you can just see some options. So I'll go ahead and click done. And then once you're about to hear a knock, the song will fade out. And then I'll enter some sound effects here. So I'll show you another section of the game that has some other sound effects as well. Okay, so I moved the game up to a save where I'm playing with cats, and you'll hear some of the sound effects now. So that's like the sound when that decreases. So I just fully lost that, probably because I'm watching it through my phone while I'm recording this, so let me try it again. So there we go, I caught it on that one. Then this is the wand toy going back and forth. And then you saw that little stamp getting added. So I haven't like added sound effects for like the cat expressions yet, but that's something I will do. So that's a drawer opening and closing, and then we have the pet tools you can select here. So that's the same noise. So for the glove, you click in a hovered spot. So that's the glove noise and the purring, which is actually from Pumpkin. So I recorded her purring and put it in here. So then we have that noise when they're unhappy, and then we'll decrease. So you can see that's an immediately disliked zone. And that's the same noise as earlier. And then if I switch, we have that brushing noise as well. So that's how that one works. And yeah, that's like the sound effects I've added to this gameplay so far. And then I also will add it to the adoption gameplay, which I don't think I've shown you guys in general. So I will show that at another point. And another spot where I added a song was to the market. And something I'm trying to do is normalize the sounds of all the songs to play at the same volume, because you will have this adjustable slider in the settings as well. So yeah, that's how we're doing so far. And something I'm going to add is updating these buttons so that if the text is really long, the button should grow bigger. And I need to also update the UI for whenever it's this type of choice that has a lot of options, so they're in a grid format. So that's something else that I'm going to do. So yeah, I'll come back once I have that stuff added. Okay, so it's a little bit later and it's not perfect, but now for some of the longer text, so like this one and then any ones that are multi-line, it will look like this instead of trailing off of the button, which is what it was doing before. The edges of the choice, so over here, aren't perfect compared to some of the previous choices that were just single line, but that is okay. So like this one, so you can see what the edges look like here. It's because I'm using a frame or border, I think it's a border setup in RenPy, so that causes it to stretch interestingly, but it's not something that I want to get too picky about. Otherwise, I'm going to spend more time on this than I need to, and that would just be a little bit of perfectionism coming out. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this like that and only fix the other item about how these don't need to be bigger. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. Okay, so that was actually a super quick tweak. So now you can see, I think it's using about like 66 or 65 characters in this line, and then it will break it off into a second one. I'm not sure, this one would be able to tell us if I counted how many here. But yeah, so this looks a lot better and I'm really liking how that works. So I'm going to kind of run through some of the choices and make sure everything's covered, but I'm glad to have gotten that done this morning, and I will be back at some point if I have any other updates for you guys. The cats are really loving the windows being open right now, and they see some bugs. That's Pumpkin and that's Marcy. Okay, anyways, I want to show you the actual update that I've made. So if I go back to a grid choice, I'll just show you. You can see the color is a lot better, and then when you click, the selected versions will have those pop prints by them, and if I unselect, can't choose that button until you've selected something. So you can see everything you've selected, and then you do that, and then you're done with your selection for the choices with the grid. So I'm glad to have gotten that done, and it actually matches the UI of the game more. The only change that I'm gonna make next is that I want the transition of when this pops up to come like up from the bottom probably, and then I want to make the other choice menus also have some sort of transition animation instead of just fading into the screen. So I'm gonna do that and see how long it takes me. Okay, so I want to show you the animation that I added and how it's working for now. So if I go back, we're about to see a choice. We'll just fade up like that, and then I already had this animation, so if I did this, it does that little animation. And next, I'll show you what it does for the grid. Okay, so ignore this. This is what it looks like when it appears. So it appears up like that. I'll select a few options, and then it just fades out like that. So it's pretty simple, but I think it looks better than just the like flashing on the screen like it was before. Some great progress has been made today, and now I'm just going to chill and just do some house stuff. So I will see y'all when I next work on the game. So next I want to change the background color of this when I click settings to match the color palette of the game and make it solid instead of see-through, and then make these bars match color palette as well. So I'll do that and then I will be back. Okay, so I'm now testing out my fix. And now we have the solid color brown background with the light brown-ish yellow orange here, and the slider. It looks like the mute all button is still blue, so I'll need to change that one, but it looks like I got all of the other ones, which is great. So I will be back once I fix that. Okay, so we now have this fixed, which is a pretty simple change, but I think it just makes the game more cohesive to have all of these sliders be matching the color palette. And then if I go to the load screen, this little bar on the left hand side will also be yellow, and it used to be blue. So that is now looking pretty great. And something else I did was start writing down some other sound effects. I did have these listed in Asana online, but it's a little bit easier to just see them tracked here since I was taking other notes on UI changes on this page. So I checked off some of the things that I've done. I have one other thing left to do. There's Mercy. She loves to attack my backpack. So I started to list things that I'll need for the adoption gameplay. I've already found some of them, and then I just need to implement them into the code and list out any other ones that I need. And then these are just general sounds that I want to include to kind of make the game more immersive too. So I will find some of these, which I think I've already found the door chime, and then implement them into the code. I'm going to take a break from this, and y'all know when I come back to it. Hello, so it's a new day and I wanted to show you another update that I made to Kitty Corner Cafe. So this is specifically for the market scenes and any scenes where you have a little close-up illustration. So if I click here, I updated them to all have this frame as the border. I ended up having to do this manually in my iPad for every image, but it didn't take too long, luckily, and I think that this just makes it feel a little more complete versus just having like a square image up on the screen. I will move this over to the middle and do a different transition than just the fade in. But for now, I think that this image part at least looks a lot better than it did before. Good morning. I want to do some work on Kitty Corner Cafe and take you guys with me in that. This morning I want to go through the sounds that I've collected. It's a bunch of sound effects that I found on the website Free Sound, and they're all under Creative Commons 0, and that means that I can use them royalty free. So I'm going to import those into my game, and then I will need to set up for each one when they actually play in the game.
So we're gonna do that this morning and just see how far I can get before I need to go to work, which will be probably about 40 minutes or so. I did take time to do some stretches this morning, make my coffee, which I have here on my desk, and a protein bar, which is my breakfast. And then you can see my monitor set up here too. So yeah, let's get into it. And here's Marcy, wanting lots of pets this morning.
Okay, so I want to show you guys how I have this set up. So over here, I have my Asana, and I'll zoom in really quick. Up here, I have the sound effects that I want to implement into the demo. And then all of these that are unchecked are sounds that I have not yet added into the code, which I have over here. So if I click on Ocean Noise, I have the link for it. I need to download it, name it correctly, and then add it into here. So I'm gonna do that with all of these, and then I can check them off of this list, but then I'll also need to actually implement them into the gameplay itself. So I do have like a manual list in my notebook that I'm gonna keep track of for that portion, but I'm gonna just do this first portion of downloading and getting them into the code first. And Marcy's back again. So something interesting I wanted to mention is that RenPy, which is the game engine that I run my game in, only supports 16-bit wave files and not 24-bit. So I had actually been using 24-bit files, and when it would play, you wouldn't be able to hear it. So this is a knocking effect, and it was not playing. So I updated it, converted it to 16-bit, and then we're able to hear it. So kind of an interesting like little issue, but it was very easy to fix at least. And we have all of the added files in here. There are still some items like a cat yawning that I haven't found yet, and I might have to make something, and some other noises I might have to make, but yeah, so far so good.
Good morning. So it is a new day. It is a Tuesday after having a 3-day weekend because of a holiday. So this morning I want to show you what I did this weekend. I worked on some sound effect updates specifically for the customization screens and did some other bug fixes. So now I kind of want to do like a little showcase of all the changes that I've made. We only have a few sounds left to implement into the demo before I can move on to some other things, but more on that later. I will show you the updates I made first.
Okay, so this is before you're going to be updating the cafe and decorating it. So go into here. This is kind of like the clean slate version of the cafe. So we have these areas to customize. Here is the randomize all button, done button. So I'm gonna click this first because you'll see a little error message. So that's what that sounds like. And that, I'm gonna randomize. So as you can see, that's randomizing everything in the cafe. Now you see like the full confirmation screen because you do have everything selected. That's just a little preview of the clicks sound like in this area, and now let's go into the cat alcove and customize that. So yeah, that's what this sounds like so far, and let me know what you think of the click sounds that I'm using for this customization. So this is also some sound effects I added to this portion of the game for pencil writing. And then when you're going to ask a question and you click on a field to ask about, it'll sound like this. So this kind of gives you an idea. And
then also if you need to erase something, this is what that will sound like. So yeah, let me know what you think about the update. And then to our character customization, I've added in some clicking sounds too, so let me know what you think about these. So I hope you enjoyed that little preview of the sound effects that I've added to the game. Let me know what you think about the customization clicks in each area, the character customization, the cat cafe, and the cat room in the cat cafe. So I have a few other things that I'll be adding to the game for sound effects, and one thing I'm wondering about is if I should add voice sound effects to the demo, or if that's kind of like out of scope and too much for just the demo of the game. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comments, and stay tuned for more updates on Kitty Corner Cafe's sound effects and songs. I have made a list of some of the other songs that I want to add to the game in certain areas and backgrounds. For example, the animal shelter is one. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I started this video thinking it would be mostly an art vlog, and then it kind of turned into me rekindling my passion for Kitty Corner Cafe, which I'm honestly happy about. So yeah, if you watch this far, thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Bye.